DJ and PK is brought to you in part by America First Credit Union. Get the official debit cards of the Utah Jazz, University of Utah Sports, Real Salt Lake, and more exclusively at America First Credit Union. We're joined now by Steve Cleveland. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Steve, back in the day, you may or may not have been misquoted by the media. Now, technology's moved forward. We can quote people more accurately, but I'm still a little fuzzy. Did you or did you not promise somebody a steak if Paul George went to Philadelphia and played for the 76ers? I'm fuzzy. Can you clear this up?
Oh, man. I've been thinking about this all morning. I'm not sure who I promised that to. Maybe it was the whole group of guys on draft night. If it is, I will live up to my promise. I knew that was going to be the very first thing you asked me. and I take that because I know their family. I know that I know all the circumstances and situation, and I know the conversation would have been like, no, we're not going to Philly. But at the end of the day, he's there. I'm excited about it. And just give me the names, and we'll figure out how we can Venmo you some money for dinner.
Does that include an appetizer for me?
PK, how many people did he promise dinner to?
Well, he told me, I remember it vividly.
There we go. Let's go to the vivid recollection of Patrick Kinahan.
So I got on the draft coverage the last 90 minutes. It had been going on for a couple hours, I think, by the time I got on. And Lloyd scheduled us in shifts, and so I went from 8 to 9:30. And I think it was during the break. I'm not sure. Maybe it was on the air, but I was sitting right across from Coach Cleveland. And he looked at me, and he said, he's not going to Philadelphia. I'll buy you a steak dinner if he is. And I think, this is why I'm a little fuzzy, I think that he'd already made that proclamation to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. They'll have to speak for themselves when they get in. I think Jake's off today. But Ben... so I know he made it to me, and I think he said, and I told the other guys.
Ben Anderson was a part of it, as was Jake.
Yeah.
Isn't Jake on vacation?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it was like a 48-hour deal, or it's null and void.
Nice.
Well, you had but that's for him. You had to wait till obviously league rules stipulated that it couldn't begin until Sunday. So, and I think that the thing here, obviously, to me, is the Clippers were unsure about offering Paul a fourth year, and the Sixers did, so that'll bring him to age 38. So what do you think of the deal?
I love the deal for Paul and the Sixers. I mean, here's the deal. You're right. I mean, he's had some injuries early on at different times in his career, and you get to be around 38, things can happen. But their window is such that the next couple of years, they're in a position to win a championship, and hey, things have to go right, and obviously Paul would be one of those pieces that could guard a guy like Jason Tatum, and that would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
There are some matchups that having Paul there, he can guard either Tatum or Jaylen Brown, depending on what the circumstances are. He can guard anybody. I mean, he's a versatile guy that can. He's a 3-and-D guy, but he's much more than that. And I think the other thing is that he will be a leader on that team. I mean, I know it's Joel Embiid's team, and Maxi's, a young man, but Paul can immediately step in there and really provide leadership. And I think with the coaching staff that they have there, Coach Nurse, I like it. I love it. I can't wait. To be honest with you, I've been to Philadelphia recruiting quite a few times, but I've never been to a game out there. So I called my boys and told them, I said, hey, we're going to Philly next year for a couple of games out there and share that experience. So I'm really excited, despite the fact this is probably going to cost me about $100.
Oh, I'm sure they can find more expensive steak than that. I am curious, though, why you were so dead set that and just so sure he wouldn't go to Philly, because I think for a lot of people, just driving around right now, they're thinking, well, Philly is a legit contender. Embiid is a star. 4 years is a lot of years. 200 and whatever million is a lot of money. It does look like a good fit. And I get you're a West Coast guy, you're a California guy, and you're playing in California, and Philly's a long way away. But, man, when you just got a $200 million, you can send a jet, a private plane, for whoever needs to come out and visit for a week. when the Sixers are at home for a week and playing 3 games. So why were you so dead set?
Because I know how much it means for his mom and dad. And you're right. I mean, they can fly his parents out, and Paul can do that as often as he wants. He's got plenty of money to get his parents out there. And to be honest with you, his family. I know that hearing conversations about the family, and being in LA, that's where they're from. That's where extended family is. Those are the reasons. It had nothing to do with basketball. Nothing to do with basketball. It was all about, do we really want to leave here and go across the country and get the kids in different schools and do this and do that? And so that it had nothing to do with the basketball piece. In fact, it's kind of exciting to see what that potentially could happen. And you just hope and pray that for all of them, that people stay healthy. I'd like to see the Sixers team with Paul where everybody's healthy. And it's a matter of, obviously Boston's got the big old target on their back, and they're capable of winning multiple championships. And I don't know, the thing is they picked up Drummond, which gives them kind of another piece to this, and which I think would help. And I'm slipping my mind right now who else they picked up as well. But I think that it's a great move basketball-wise for Paul, for Philadelphia. They're going to embrace him, and I just pray that they'll stay healthy, because I like this team. I like this move basketball-wise, but everything else before that was just about family and leaving L.A. and leaving good friends and leaving family. And I know how strong moms can be, and his wife's very involved in this process, and these are difficult, sometimes hard decisions to have. And, we're talking about $200+ million. Who wouldn't take that? But at the end of the day, he's already making really good money. And wherever he went, he was going to make that type of money, except for the Clippers, who were only going to give him 3 years. I don't know if that was what tipped the scale to, hey, we're going to go and get another extra year. I'm not sure what happened. I wasn't privy to any of those conversations. But I do know family's important when you're making decisions like that, especially when you're going across the country. But basketball-wise, I think it's a great deal for Paul, for the Sixers, and I just want to see them be healthy and continue to develop the young guys they have, and have an opportunity to win that Eastern Championship and win an NBA championship.
Yeah, if I'm a Philly fan this morning, I'm excited because I've got a coach who's won a title in Toronto and is widely respected. I mean, he was on the market for about a half hour, and then boom, he gets another job, and he probably had multiple jobs. I've got an MVP caliber player in Embiid, provided he's healthy. He's as good as anybody in the league, I believe. And then you got Maxey, who's a rising star. He's shown that. He's young, and he's going to be getting better. And so Philly's looking at, hey, we got to match up with Boston because there are impediment to getting through to the NBA Finals. So they get a fellow who can guard these guys. And Paul George, I think, for years has been the prototypical NBA player in terms of what you're looking for in length, size, speed, agility, shot making, put it on the floor, whatever you want out of him. He can do that. So you go and they got Oubre too, Oubre Jr. So they've got, and they still have Harris, I think, right? We'll see what happens there. But they've got a roster, a starting unit that looks like they can contend, and I think they picked up Eric Gordon also too.
They did.
And, he's a veteran guy, obviously. So you got those things going on, and I don't care about 38 because if he helps me win a title in the next 2 to 3 years, well, then it's gravy that fourth year, and anything I spend that fourth year is well worth it. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to be bold, man, because it's not going to come easy. You got to get lucky and score on draft picks like I guess they already did with Embiid and Maxey, so forth. And then you got to go in, and they're putting their chips in, and then we'll see what happens. So I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Having Oubre and Drummond, Oubre he can play versatile situations. He's a guy that can guard. He's athletic enough to defend. Drummond, same thing. He's a presence there. He's not the answer, but it's nice to have a backup with that kind of size and experience. So I think that, they put some stuff together. I don't know if they're done or if they have any money left to pick up any other types of picks, but I think they're in a great situation. it'll be fun to watch Embiid and Maxey and Paul on the floor at the same time. But defensively, they've just gotten way better, just way better. And with Embiid, key thing for him is being healthy. But with George and Oubre and Maxey has certainly shown that he's capable of playing in this league at a high level. So it's a good move. My doubts were more about the family than they were about whether this would fit basketball-wise, because I think everything about it is just screaming, hey, we're going to go compete. And now they've got a piece. And we used to talk about the East maybe being not quite what the West was and so forth, but these kind of drafts and these kind of free agency changes things a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out and falls out in terms of the competitiveness of both leagues. But I'm excited, and I am good for that, buddy. So we maybe we'll supersize something for you.
Klay Thompson's name is out there, and he's been linked to so many contenders. The Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets, the Orlando Magic, the Lakers. And he's been mentioned in a potential sign-and trade that the Warriors are willing to do that. So people you think might not have the money for him, maybe the sign-and trade could make it happen. How much does he have left, and where could he really make a difference as opposed to go and hit some shots and make some money and be entertaining, but not be in the discussion at the end of the season?
Do you think that he'd want to go back to the Lakers? I mean, he grew up around his dad. His dad's there, obviously, and he has a brother playing professional baseball. I'm not sure where he's playing right now. Is he down in Southern California as well? Clay's brother? I can't remember. But
I think it was back east. He's been bouncing around. I think the last I saw was White Sox.
Okay. So anyway, I think any of those places would fit. But, I mean, as long as he doesn't have to have the responsibility of carrying a team where there's not that kind of pressure and he come in and play, 20, 24 minutes, whatever, I think he's still got gas in the tank, man. And, it's one of those things that there's been so much chaos with the Warriors and personalities and issues. And that was, obviously Klay kind of losing his touch and not shooting the ball like he had. But I think he gets in the right spot. I think Klay has something to offer, besides the fact that he has so much experience. There's a maturity there. And I think when you go to a new spot and you have a new opportunity, I think it can work. He's not going to be expected to play 38 minutes and guard the best offensive player in the team. Those are responsibilities he's had in the past. He's not going to have that. He's going to have an opportunity to come in and off the bench and put himself in a situation where he'll space the floor really well for him. And one, shooting slumps come and go for everybody. I don't care what level. And I think a new and a fresh start and not nearly as much pressure is kind of will get him relaxed, and he might surprise a lot of people. All of a sudden he's 16, 18 a game and either coming off the bench or playing 25 minutes could help somebody really take the next step. And all those teams you mentioned could benefit from that. I just thought I was kind of curious. I thought, I wonder if he'd like to go back to LA because he spent a lot of his time there in Southern California. I don't have any idea where he's going to end up, but I think he has enough to help a team. He doesn't have to carry them. And I've watched him play too much and just following him with the Warriors and being in Northern California. I would never give up on Klay Thompson unless he just had a serious injury. I like the fact that he's got another chance, and if it's a couple-year contract, whatever it ends up being, that boy has a serious heart and competitiveness. And I know it's probably his confidence and everything's been shook, and he kind of starting to question things about his own life. But I think this is a new start for him, fresh start for him, and I'm excited to see where he'll go and the contribution. I think he's going to surprise people. I think he has still plenty left. Not that he can play 40 minutes or 30 minutes, because I don't think he can, but playing 20 minutes a game and spacing the floor for whatever team that is, I think he has great value in that way.
What do you have to get back in any deal with marketing?
Oh, man. I mean, we talked about this on the show the other night, and we talked about patience, and I think, the Jazz have demonstrated patience here. I've got to be careful what I say, right? But I just don't see Markkanen leaving. If there's a trade out there for him, I'm not sure what it is, he still has value here. And the idea that he's not going to be a part of this would really, really surprise me. I think when you look at where the Jazz are, and with now we've got three young players again that probably aren't going to make an immediate contribution, but a year from now they're either going to be with the club or maybe be traded or whatever the circumstances are going to be. I don't think you take your best guy right now. I think if you're going to be patient, let's just be patient. Let's see what happens a year from now. And the picks that we've talked about the Jazz picks, and I think the strength of the draft that they had. And I mean, who would have thought that they'd corral in what 3, 4, 5 months ago was the number one draft pick, in the NBA. And he's obviously fallen for some grace, and he's not played nearly as well as a lot of people thought. But I think when you look at their draft, and it was just so good that I think you hold pat, stay patient, and then next year you make some decisions based upon the quality of that draft, which is supposed to be better. And then you have to make some decisions. Is Keontae George going to be our point guard? Or, who's that going to be, and how these things play out. So I don't like the idea of trying to trade Markkanen right now when you've got so many young people there. Let this thing play out. If Markkanen is someone they want to trade the following year and they're more apt to get – it's a stronger draft, it puts them in a situation that, they can probably afford to make that move based upon a stronger draft and all the picks that they have to maybe replace him. But I just don't like the idea of doing that right now. Now, a week from now, we're going to be on the phone together. What do you think about Markkanen now playing for Orlando or whatever the circumstances might be? I just don't like it. I just think one more year. You're going to stay patient, and you're going to do all of this that you've been doing, and this has all been part of the master plan. Stick with the master plan, and then make the big haul next year and see if you can really get the Jazz in a position to be a playoff team again.
But, number one, I want a steak for free. And number two, maybe that is patience, though. Maybe that really is what patience looks like. If you trade Markkanen, the rebuild stretches out longer. But yes. If you keep Markkanen, he is good enough, and we've seen this the last 2 years, you will end up drafting the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. If you trade him, you'll be in the top 5. Depending on how the lottery goes, you could be 1, 2, or 3. And there's supposed to be generational talent at the top of the draft, and there are Jazz fans who are pretty frustrated, and maybe there's Jazz management too, although they've kept it a little closer to the vest. Maybe they're frustrated they've drafted 10th instead of 5th or 3rd or 1st. So if you want to move up in what is supposed to be a great draft, Markkanen is good enough to stand in the way of doing that, and so maybe you have to trade and then be patient that, the rebuild's going to stretch out longer. But if you get the right guy and you ride him for a decade, older Jazz fans have seen that happen. They're like, yeah, that was awesome.
Well, I agree with you on the generational talent because there are going to be individuals there, and I'm not savvy enough and smart enough yet right now to really know and understand, haven't spent the time to see what that draft would look like. But I do believe that them not doing anything this year, and I can't imagine anything happening with Markkanen this year, but I see your point, and it have to be generational talent. And I don't know if they want to wait another 2 or 3 years for generational talent. It's probably the fan base is a little more impatient than maybe the administration for the Jazz. But I like the path they're on. That one of the things is I kind of studied the draft and looked at, the different scenarios. I just believe – I kind of thought maybe at the end of the summer that the Jazz find somebody that they really like and a disgruntled NBA guy that's a star that wants to be traded. I'm just not sure I'm seeing that or hearing about that. But I do like the way they're going about this, and I think the one thing that the Jazz management has done is they've informed the fan base. There's no surprise this year. There should be nothing surprising about this draft other than the fact they got 3 great picks, and again, we don't know. That's probably not generational talent, but there's no question in my mind that these guys could play a role in that rebuild quicker than maybe some. So I I just don't think it was wise right now. But I get your point, and if they could get a generational talent, I'm not sure who they are, and until I kind of wrap my arms and figure out who that all is as we prepare for next year's draft, I think the Jazz have to be really happy. The fans have to be really happy what's happened. It's going to be exciting to watch what happens. It'll be exciting to see what happens with the younger players in the draft. And who knows, a year from now, we might have a point guard that we love, and then maybe that is Keontae George, and everybody else needs to go to the side, and they're tradable. We'll just have to see. But I just go back to let's just take a deep breath, kind of step back, let this thing unfold, and trust in the management. And going forward, I think the Jazz are going to be better 2 years from now. So I agree with you that if there's generational talent there and they can get Markkanen to be a big piece of that trade, then, that probably would make sense. But, again, you have just a amazing fan base. And they're probably looking around and going, hey, how long are we going to have to be patient with this?
They are. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I mean, how much longer are we going to have to wait for something really cool to happen here? And so you got to deal with that. And I think a lot of those problems will be resolved next year with the draft, with trades, free agency. I think we're going to see the management take a step forward and make this a better team where year in and year out, that you're always in. Right now, being in the top 10 would be good enough maybe next year to be in that spot, to get it to the playoffs in some form, and eventually 2 or 3 years down that road with generational talent, now you're competing for 1 to 6 spots, and you're becoming relevant again in the league. And right now they haven't been relevant, but I trust in that management, trust in what they're doing, and the community just has to be a little more patient. Let's give this thing 12 more months before we all kind of lose our minds.
Quick update. Harris is going to be with Detroit, so he'll be gone. But give us a real quick assessment of Filipowski to the Jazz.
Well, I didn't know a lot about him until that night. And we talked a lot about Cody Williams, and we talked about Isaiah Collier. Getting a 6'11" guy, 230 pounds, who played at Duke, which is obviously speaks for itself. Everybody says that he can shoot it, he can dribble it. He's versatile, and at times he played really well in the ACC. He was inconsistent as a shooter, and he doesn't have a real physicality to his game yet, and he's not really a rim protector either. But again, we're talking about younger players developing. This young man can provide offense. He's talented in that way. And there were times during the year where he carried Duke, and he hasn't. The key thing, he hasn't had a presence defensively, and I know everybody wants to look at that because you got to be able. It seems like you got to be able to do one thing really well when you come in that you can offer. I don't know that he's going to be able to do that, but the Jazz brought him in for a workout, and he's got legitimate perimeter skills. He's got a good feel for the game, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, you got to love all three of these picks because there's an upside to all of them. And anytime you're coming out of Duke, you know that you've been in an institution where the intangibles are important, where the whole chemistry of that organization and that's gone on for years and years is still there. And so getting a really grounded, great young man, good human being that comes in that has those kind of skills. Anytime there's an upside offensively and he already can shoot it, I mean, we talk about, we're going to turn him into a shooter. That doesn't happen that often, where guys that can't shoot all of a sudden figure out how to shoot down the road. It does happen over time, but this is a young man that already has the difficult things to do. The weight room, the strength and conditioning, those will be the things that help him get more pounds on his body and become a better defender. But it's a good get.
Steve, we appreciate it as always. PK probably appreciates it a little more than as always. He'll have a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich and put it on the Underhills bill.
PK,
yeah.
You find the golf course, get the foursome, and I'll feed everybody there.
Pebble Beach, here we come.
No. No. We'll stay somewhere in the public golf range in Utah County or northern Utah County.
Okay. All right, you got it.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach. If Paul George goes to Philly, they'll buy you a steak dinner. Well, he's gone to Philly. And as you mentioned there, Tobias Harris has left Philly. 2 years, $52 million to go to Detroit and play with the Pistons.
And Hartenstein to OKC.
DJ and PK, NBA free agency continues. We'll keep you up to date. There's more next. Stay with us.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
If Taylor Hendricks were coming out this year, he would be very squarely in the conversation for the top pick. There's just not a combination player who has his size and shooting in this year's draft, which is all the NBA is about. Do you want to take away what we learned about the finals this year? Get big guys who can shoot. Yeah. Play 5 out, have big guys who can play both sides of the floor, and most notably can shoot the ball.
And can guard it all.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay, Taylor Hendricks is that guy.
But at 10, you can take a flyer on Hendricks. That's why I never thought that was, that pick drew some criticism, I guess. Man, the potential of Hendricks is absolutely through the dang roof.
Yeah, still there.
If he develops skill, he's got all these things that you just can't teach. Look at that guy. 6'9", runs like the wind, long, could jump out of the gym. I'll try and teach him skills. My Atlanta.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and then listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, and it's sponsored by Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
Patience, PK. It comes in many flavors. Jazz fans, Jazz management is going to have to exercise patience, but in what direction? Stay patient with marketing. Don't worry about next year's draft. Stay patient for some 26, 28-year-old player who's really good to become available, and you got the assets to go get him. Or trade marketing. Stay patient on the rebuild, and know you can get someone awesome in the 2025 draft.
Well, I think they have to be aware of every draft going forward because that's a critical component into getting the team better. So worry about it. And worry is not the right word, but
focus.
Take it into consideration in everything that you do because that's how you're going to build your team. You then look to probe and see where you can attack a trade. And if you get something, then you jump on it completely and totally. But the rest of the way is going to be through the draft to get where you want to go. I think that's primarily going to be the way to build it. But you also monitor the trade situations at all times. Because that can happen at any time. The draft is going to happen next summer. Right? And it's going to happen every summer going forward, right? So you are aware of that. You scout for that. You prepare for that all year long. But the trade can happen pretty much any time. There's a window where there's no trades from February on to, but the good portion of the season and off season is about trading. So you have to be aware of that. All this stuff has to be done every single day.
Or you get caught napping. And man, the moments really come and go. I mean, that was a great run by the Knicks, and Knicks fans are all excited. And then they wake up, and Philly has, we'll see if it works out. But, man, on paper, it looks like Philly has really taken a step forward. And then what you said right before the break, Isaiah Hartenstein's leaving the Knicks, and he's going to Oklahoma City for 3 years and $87 million. And now the Knicks have the size, and where do they stack up in the East? And it looked so close, and now it doesn't look quite so close.
I think they were prepared to lose him, though. When they gave Anunoby all that money and they got Robinson coming back, I think they knew full well that they were going to lose the other guy because he was going to get more money elsewhere. So I think that was part of their plan is, okay, we're going to do this, but we know this is going to happen when we do this other thing. So I think they feel good about that for the Knicks. I don't know that they took a huge hit. I think they were prepared for it. And so they went forward. They weighed their options, and so they chose A, knowing that B was not going to be there anymore. And they're comfortable with that. And, it's a roll of the dice to everything, no matter what you do. But from the Jazz perspective, this is something that has to be just reviewed and viewed and reviewed again every single day. Really, there's no end to it. This job, I don't think it ever ends. You're never set. It might be an occasion where you're set, but the days of the statues, 20 years, Jerry Sloan, Phil Johnson, that's gone. And you've got to be on your toes every single day as far as this goes. And they've got to weigh all these things. And the time is literally right now. I mean, they're going to be doing this today. Literally today. They're going to spend hours on it today. That's what's cool about this job. And it's cool to be in this time right now as you see intrigue. At the end of the statues run, it's like, okay, I don't know, over the hill, what aging veteran were they going to add?
Danny Manning.
There was a slew of them.
John
right?
Starks.
Right.
Danielle Marshall.
Yeah, and so that was it, but the nucleus was there. Here, there is no nucleus. There's none. They really have no nucleus that you can say, this is the group. And we got these dudes for 5 years, man, and they're going to be good times.
The question is who is or who are the nucleus, and I think Markkanen has been the guy, but we were all anticipating another move, and as it doesn't come, well, then maybe Markkanen isn't the guy. Maybe the nucleus needs to be players who in NBA terms are a generation younger.
Yeah, he's the guy until he isn't the guy.
Yeah.
And that could be today, that could be tomorrow, it could be next year. Yeah.
Could be in 5.
Right, so that's all sorts of intrigue there. If they choose to keep him, okay. If they choose to trade him, well, everything's relative to the value you get back. And it's impossible to say, well, that was a great trade until the trade is actually made. And then we go with our shotgun, shoot from the hip evaluations, and then we see how it plays out for years later. Right? And you won't really know. The Exum thing, oh, man, this kid, he's got the measurables, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets hurt, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Well, then it didn't work out, but then trade him for Clarkson, and he's 6th man of the year, and they're a threat to do some damage in the postseason. Well, that took years to unravel. And that's what it'll be here. And then also with all these picks and so forth, it will be years. And the great thing about it is in 10 years from now, we'll know. I'll be dead, but we'll know.
There it is.
We'll know. And we'll see. And did they get where they want to go? Because it's the same thing here with Paul George. You're obsessing over 3rd or 4th year. And I was listening to Sam Mitchell, and he does the NBA radio with Getzeiler, our guy, right? So I'm in a car last night at about 6:30, and obviously things are happening. And so I got the NBA thing on my satellite, and I'm listening to it as I'm driving home. And Mitchell says, because they had put out that statement, the Clippers, which is unusual. They put out a statement, we're not going to take Paul George's not going to come back. That's unusual. It's usually the player says, I'm going to go to wherever he's going to go, right? But they put out a statement and say he's not going to come back. And he was saying that, well, I think the Clippers have decided that this doesn't work anymore. We've had it for 3 years, and it didn't work. So we're going to go in a different direction. And I think as I thought about that, it's like, well, yeah, that's what they're saying, right?
And maybe that explains why Steve Cleveland got thrown the curveball here. It's not so much Paul George deciding he didn't want to play in Southern California in front of the friends and family. They're just like, we got to get younger. We got to spend the money somewhere else. We got to, whatever.
Yeah. So maybe it was their decision, and then Paul is like the Utes and the 2 Arizona schools. Okay, well, I don't have option A. Well, I got to take option B. And decent option.
It is a decent option.
Right?
It's an option a lot of people wish they had.
Decent option to go to the Big 12, but it clearly wasn't Utah's and Arizona's number one preference. Would be to stay.
Just keep the Pac-12 together.
But it didn't work, so they got to go over here. And I think that's what you have with the George situation. Maybe he did want to stay. And Steve had spoken and, knew some stuff and was set. But they're not going to give you back, and they're going to give you over here, and they're going to give you that 4th year. It's a business decision. And you're going to go in a good situation, all things being equal, which you never know. But if they are, then Philly is a legitimate threat. They could have 3 All-Stars next year, right?
They could.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. I mean, you got to assume that the commissioner and the TV networks are looking at that thinking, awesome, Philly and Boston. We'll run it back. We'll dig up the old video of Wilt and old video of Dr. J and Barkley and Iverson and just through the years and all the rivalries.
And Harvey Catchings.
Nice. I see what you did there. That's good. Let's leave it right there and go to break. DJ and PK coming at the top of the hour. Kyle Ireland, Utah Hockey Club insider for The Zone, joins us. Talking draft and trades. Did they go all in? A couple of defensemen. How much better will the Utah Hockey Club be? Playoffs? We'll talk with him coming up at 9 o'clock. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Mitch Harper, BYU Insider, KSLSports.com.
Their expectations should be for 6 right now. And I think they can get to 6. And I think it's interesting when comparing Utah's, their transition to the Pac-12 back then and the early 2010s in this league for BYU. Utah arrived in a league that had a hierarchy of USC, Oregon, with their flying high with Chip Kelly. This league has nothing. They might be changing its name to a corporate sponsor. I mean, this league has nothing, yet it has, if you win it, you will play in the playoff. Yes, you want to have kind of modest expectations, but at the same time, you have a real chance to set the hierarchy of what this new league is going to be, and you want to go chase it and be in the upper tier of that thing.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. And now, your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer's strong play of the weekend.
Here comes Crook. A swing and a drive deep down the line and left. It's hooking at the foul pole. That ball is history. Wyatt Langford has hit for the cycle. It's a 3-run Jimmy Jack to finish it off. And the Rangers lead 11-2. The rookie just keeps doing amazing things. Every home run is special. An inside the park homer, a grand slam, and now a 3-run homer to complete a cycle.
There's the Chevy Strong play of the game. Wyatt Langford, the first MLB player to hit for the cycle in 2024. Only the second in Texas Ranger franchise history. Know that today after 3 o'clock, Alex and JJ will call for it, and you'll have a chance to win fabulous prizes. We've been talking NBA free agency. Is there anything else going on in your sporting world?
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got?
Our guy, Zach Wilson.
Oh, yeah. We brought this up, and I brought this up in What is Trending. You're like, hold on to it. Zach got engaged.
He did. I want you to listen here. Stay with me. It's going to be about a minute or so. Who better than to sing this?
There's something special for Jersey.
This is from last year in New Jersey.
I got no time for the corner boy.
It's special for Jersey.
Down in the street, making all that noise.
And this is what Zach is going to bring himself into, and I know about this.
You do?
I wanna be with you.
Yeah. Get ready.
Yeah, tonight
I'll get ready for some applause right now.
Cross the river to the Jersey side. Take my baby to the car.
Now stay with me. He's gonna get another cheer right here. Right here.
'Cause down the shore everything's alright. You and your
Stay with
baby on a Saturday night.
Right when we get down to the shalalas.
You know all of my dreams come true.
This is what Zach Wilson is bringing himself into. Sing it.
Sing sha-la-la-la-la-la.
The crowd is now singing, and this is what Zach is going to do. Right now. It's going to happen. Get ready. 3, 2, 1.
Sha-la-la, well, I'm in love with a Jersey girl.
Yeah. All right, that's good. My man, Zach Wilson, he's going to get himself married to a Jersey girl.
There it is.
Now, there's a few things I know in life, but I know about Jersey girls.
What do you know about Colts Neck, New Jersey?
Colts Neck, New Jersey. Let's see. That just happens to be the very community that Bruce Springsteen lives in right now.
Well.
And my mother, who you may have known, was the classic, stereotypical, chain-smoking, truck drive cursing Jersey girl, faithful Catholic. She told me early on, money loves money.
I've heard you mention that a few times.
What do I know about Colts Neck, New Jersey? Oh, my gosh. The township has been ranked as one of the state's highest income communities. Well, this is going back about 7-8 years, but the median household income was $170,000. So our guy, Zach Wilson, goes back. Now, they call them the New York Jets. They play in Jersey.
But they play at the Meadowlands.
And they train at Florham Park, which is 5 minutes from where I grew up. They never go into New York. No, I mean, it's only minutes away. But he met himself a Jersey girl. What's her name? Anna... what's the gal's name?
Nicolette Delano?
Nicolette.
I thought we were suddenly there was someone else in the story.
I was going to say, there's another woman involved
that's
here?
where I got the Ano. It's like A-A.
Nicolette Delano.
A-N-N-O.
Yes.
That's where I got the Ann from. Yeah. Well, she's a Jersey girl all the way. And not just a Jersey girl. She's a Paisano.
Easy. Your voice is breaking.
She's got my blood.
It just sounds like she got a transfusion.
They went and got engaged.
I need a pint, PK. No worries.
Well, in Jersey, we can get you a pint.
Yeah.
They went and got engaged in Italy.
Yes, they
He's
did.
marrying one of my own, a Jersey Italian. He's in love with a Jersey girl. Ho, ho, ho. The Wilsons down in Draper. Prepare for one heck of a ride. This is awesome. Zach, he's hitting a home run with the bases loaded. A grand slam. He checks off all the boxes of the best of Jersey girls. I know Jersey girls. I got Jersey girls in my family. I got 2 sisters, and believe me, they are Jersey girls. They lived in Arizona for a good while. Oh, but they're Jersey girls. And I've been in love with a Jersey girl. Teresa Loacano? Oh.
It's your goal. Just be outrageous until you finally get me to snicker.
Margaret Napolitano? I've been in love with a Jersey girl.
Just as important it was for him to go to Italy, see the home and all that. Yes, she came to Utah and went to Lake Powell. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and he's probably going to bring her here to live when he's done. So she's going to be, this is great news for the state. We're going to have another Jersey Italian. And my mother, I know I got the Irish last name, but my mother's full-blood Italian. My father was full-blood Irish. She's going to come here. We're going to have another Jersey Italian in our midst. This is great news.
Did the Ciamillos come from the Amalfi Coast? Where did the Ciamillos come from in Italy?
My grandfather came from Naples.
Apparently, he popped the question on the Amalfi Coast.
Yes.
Sounds like it's probably just an awesome Italian real estate right there.
I'm sure it is, man. Wilson's, I expect an invite.
Yeah.
And they probably have it back east.
To Italy or to Lake Powell?
Oh, no, to the wedding.
Oh, okay. Jersey for the wedding. Got
They'll
it.
do it, I assume, in Jersey. Right. And if Bruce is not available to sing, I'll do it.
Oh, excellent. Hey, I booked the band.
I get Stevie Van Sant, which is his stepfather's last name that he took. He's a Paisan, too. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Congratulations, Zach. If you never throw another touchdown pass in your life, you're a Super Bowl winner as far as I'm concerned.
Married a Jersey girl, and you're going to let PK sing at your wedding.
Sing sha-la-la-la-la. When you're
what
in
could
love,
go wrong?
You guys don't understand this. When you're in love with a Jersey girl, everything is all right.
There it is. DJ and PK, Kyle Ireland, Utah Hockey Club insider for The Zone, joins us next. Trading for defensemen, one of them a Stanley Cup champ. Playoffs? Is that realistic? We'll talk with Kyle next.